Bismillah. Asalaamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you and welcome to episode 7 of my podcast, Hope and Esperanza. My name is Naomi. I'm a Muslim writer, blogger, as well as content creator on YouTube and host of this podcast. In the previous episode, I talked about how Jesus, peace be upon him, was Muslim. Jesus, peace be upon him, was not a Christian. He did not practice, preach, teach anything that we see in church today. And I'm not knocking or judging or saying that those who are Christians or of any other religion aren't going to heaven or don't believe in God or anything like that. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God is going to judge us according to our relationship with him and our knowledge, because he is the most fair and he is the most just. But just for the sake of educating the public or anyone that's listening that may not know anything about Islam, just as I was before, aside from what's propagated in the media, and not only that, I grew up with the negative images that I saw of Muslims, the buffoonery, making fun of, it was in urban media. It wasn't from Fox or CNN, anything like that. I got it from movies, urban movies. Islam is depicted as or it is given a place in society when it comes to Black and brown communities as something that is other, when we are just a few generations removed from it. We are just generations removed from it. Let's say centuries, not generations. Centuries. I also talked about how when I started to go to church and I started to actually read the Bible and try to implement certain things in my life and not see it exercised in church, or I would see the contradictions exercised in church, that was kind of what started my path to kind of shift my focus from a broad Christian type of religion to narrowing it down to Jesus, peace be upon him. If they're doing it wrong, if this isn't matching up, I need to figure out, like, the only light that I had was Jesus, peace be upon him. And so zeroing in and studying him is what led me to Islam and what led me to being a Muslim, which was a process, because ultimately Jesus, peace be upon him, was a Muslim. He was submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was submitted to God. He didn't worship any creator, nor did he tell anyone to worship anything that was created. He taught and preached that everyone should worship God alone. But nowadays, things are a little bit different. We have the internet, and Islam is closer to more people now than it was even 20 years ago. We have concepts, we have words that people are using it in songs. We have social media. So I feel like now Islam is more culturally accepted. It's more accepted in the culture of America. Our society accepts it a little bit more. But I often wonder, because I went through it myself, for those of us who look into it, who are on a journey that I talked about in a previous episode, who are on that walk where you feel you've outgrown the church, where you feel you believe in God, you believe in Jesus, peace be upon him, you want to worship and you want to have a life where your faith and where your body, mind, and spirit are all one. Like, you really can't separate, but you just don't know how. So you might come across some Islamic literature or something and say, hey, I like that. I'm going to take that. Hey, I like, oh, no pork. Oh, I like that. Oh, praying or fasting during the month of Ramadan. Oh, okay. But you really are afraid that if you continue to follow your heart or educate yourself, continue to go down the path of knowledge, you're afraid that you will catch Islam. You are afraid that you will become a Muslim. Thank you so much for listening into the podcast. I wanted to take just a short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. My name is Naomi, and this is Hope and Esperanza. Let's get back into the episode. I kind of think, Allah knows best what is in, the hearts of people. But I'm reminded of this anytime we hear of celebrities who may go to a Muslim majority country and may have some type of epiphany, and they may capture, they may capture their opinions or their insight or their moments on social media, and now everyone is like, oh my gosh, they're gonna convert to Islam. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then they kind of never really do. But you can kind of see, Allah knows best if it's sincere or real or not. You can kind of see, like, they feel it at the moment. Like, they feeling it. Like, oh, I have to cover if I'm a woman. I have to be humble if I'm a man. The adhan, how the majority of people who go to Muslim majority countries are so touched that once they get used to it, they love and they miss hearing the adhan. And if you find yourself in that type of place, then my message to you is don't be afraid. Don't be scared of Islam. Don't even think, oh my gosh, if I keep going, I'm going to turn into a Muslim. Just keep going. Just keep going. Test your faith. The thing about fear is that it keeps us trapped and it stops us from growing. I think so many people are afraid to catch Islam. Even when I have conversations with Christians, believers, and if we agree on many points, or if I can cite more of even what they believe in Islam, you see that they're scared. Like, oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, but I'm good. I know I'm good in my church. Oh, no. And I'm just like, why are you scared of Islam? And I think only Allah knows, it's case by case, but just in general, for the sake of this podcast, I just wanted to go over a few things that I think that people are afraid of when it comes to, catching Islam, is they are afraid of change. They are afraid of changing. It may start off with just your desires, your nafs. You may have heard that Muslims don't eat pork. You may have heard that Muslims aren't supposed to drink alcohol at all. Not the don't get drunk because it leads to debauchery, so let's just sip a little that some denominations take. And you may say, oh no, I like to drink, I like my pork. I'm definitely not going to wrap up my body like that. But ultimately, if your faith and your life never really meet, you'll always be stuck. You will always be stuck. I remember going to the church, non-denominational church in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and the line to get in the church. This is like, let's say during like maybe the last final months that I was going to church, I started to see things like, wow, the line, and I'm looking and it looked like a club. You have cleavage hanging out, you got thighs, you got heels, you got fake lashes, you got makeup. I'm like, are you going to go worship your Lord, or are you going to look for a spouse? Are you going to the club? Is this the line to a nightclub? We're afraid of change. We are so used to being slaves to our desire to be wanted, our desire to be told that we're beautiful as women, our desire to be sought after and chased, us women who may have low self-esteem and feel that, only through our bodies, can we really attain validation. You would think that now, especially in 2021, you would think that us as women, we would have evolved, right? And but we will be more comfortable in our skin. We will be more secure in our intellect. We would be more empowered in who we are, that, God forbid, modesty would be kind of, maybe like a bohemian style. You would think, but it's the opposite. Our daughters are injecting their bodies, putting poison in it. We are wanting this to get plumped. We're putting fake eyelashes. We're buying fake hair. We're putting all this makeup to make our skin look a certain way. You would think, but in reality, it's the result of being slaves to our desires. Desire to be beautiful, false impression, false idea of beauty. Thank you so much for listening into the podcast. I wanted to take just a short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. My name is Naomi, and this is Hope and Esperanza. Let's get back into the episode. So I feel like that's one of the reasons. You may believe in Islam, but you don't wanna cover your cleavage. You don't wanna cover your hair. You don't want people looking at your face, God forbid. Another is you may be afraid to fail. I love Islam and things of that nature, but I don't think I could pray 5 times a day. I had a friend years ago in the beginning was like, why you gotta do it so much? And and I'm like, well, especially now in a time where everything is about manifestation and words of affirmation, and why do you have to do that? Why has science proven that to kind of be effective, right? Of course, I feel like it's rooted in Islam, the idea of reminding yourself, and that's really what it is. When you pray to God, when we make our 5 salats, we don't give anything to God. It's like going to the gas station. When you go to the gas station and you're on E, you don't do the gas station a favor. You don't, they're going to be good either way. Someone's going to come and hit that pump. They're going to be good. They're not dependent on you. So if you decide to not get gas and go on by wherever you're going to go, and you end up broke down somewhere, it's your loss. So that's the thing with prayer. So I remember kind of explaining to her like that. And then I'm like, how many times do you text your man or your friends? How many times you check up on your favorite celebrities? Like, is that necessary? Now that's time loss, for your loved ones. Okay, that's investments and things like that. But when it comes to our 5 prayers, that is us reminding us, hey, this life is temporary. Get yourself together. Ask God to forgive you. We are reminded that we are from God and we are going to be returned to God. When you see us in the position of sujood with our face to the floor, we are going back to the dirt. We're going back to the dirt, each and every one of us. It's humility. And so some people may say, well, I can't do that. So the fear of failure keeps people from making that next step. Another thing that I think is, and I feel like I had my brush with these examples that I'm giving in this podcast myself, and that's why I'm sharing them. I'm not coming from a point of privilege. I'm coming from a place of experience. So this is not everyone, but like I said in my previous episode, my experiences, I'm not above average. I'm not above average. I feel like they're pretty average. So I feel another fear when it comes to a scared of Islam is a fear of growing up. You're just afraid to grow up. You want to be a Toys R Us kid. Like you're just afraid to grow up. You are afraid to grow up and accept the fact that death is a part of life. May Allah extend our lives so that we can do more good. Ameen. May Allah give us all good lives. Ameen. But you're afraid. You're afraid of death. You're afraid of getting old. You're afraid of facing yourself. You're afraid of accountability. You're afraid of, there's many things, but it's ultimately afraid to grow. A lot of us, unfortunately, are way more comfortable with being a big fish in a little pond rather than a small fish in an ocean. And Islam is that ocean. In Islam, there are no big fish. In Islam, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. Only God judges, and that's based on piety, and only He knows what is in our chest. Only He knows who are the sincere believers and who are not, despite what it may be looking like on the outside. So the purpose of this talk is just, if there's anyone out there that just comes across my podcast and you may feel like, I'm a Christian. I just, I like listening to Muslims because just want to tell you, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of catching Islam. Don't be afraid of becoming a Muslim. Don't let that fear, don't let the title, don't let those things keep you from what you deserve, which is this beautiful deen, way of life. See, Islam is not a religion. It is a way of life. It's an entire way of life. It's a way of life that reminds us that we are submitted. We are submitted to our Creator, not to our desires, not to society, not to trends, not to these beauty gurus, not to the advertisers and commercials in the stores and celebrities. And we're not perfect. See, because sometimes we may say, you know what, I knew some Muslims, but their kids were crazy. I knew some Muslims, but they were still drinking. I knew some Muslims, and may Allah forgive us. May Allah forgive us if we knew better and we were bad examples. May Allah forgive us. Ameen. But that's the beautiful thing about Islam, is that the people are not perfect. See, we don't call ourselves saved. We don't consider ourselves blessed and highly favored in the way that the Christians do. We don't have this spiritual self-righteousness. As a matter of fact, that is sinful. That is sinful. We are balanced. We hope for paradise. We hope for paradise, but we fear the hellfire. We fear the tortures of the grave. May Allah protect us. We fear the wrath of God in this life and in the next. May Allah protect us from that. Ameen. So I just pray that if anyone is afraid to go any further with their journey and they found themselves in Islam amongst the Muslims, reading the Quran, watching, listening to Muslim podcasters like myself or YouTubers or anything like that, just want to encourage you and let you know that we are praying for you, the whole ummah, making dua. Do not be afraid. Do not be scared of Islam. In the next episode, it will be the last episode of season 1. We will wrap up go over kind of a little bit of everything. I think I want to talk about how your relationship with God affects your relationship with others and how and what that may look like. And yeah, so thank you for listening.